What's up, guys? Cat Daddy Crypto here. You know what I need you to do. Hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Stay up to date with news around KASPA and KASPA'S ecosystem as a whole, as well as the rest of the crypto market. Subscribe and like this video. Let's get it. What's going on, guys? I want to talk about the atmosphere around KASPA right now. And I want to ask all of you guys if you are noticing a vibe shift in the KASPA community as a whole recently, and if you feel things are slowly getting a little bit more positive and a little bit more happy in the KASPA community as of late. You have to remember that KASPA, this is its first cycle, and there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, okay? In 2022, things were, and in 2023 for that matter, things were extremely positive. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that it was new, it was fresh. People were coming on board because they were learning what KASPA is and what it does, and the similarities to, the Nakamoto consensus and how similar it is to the fundamentals of Bitcoin, right? And it helped that the chart was on an upward trajectory while the rest of the market was in a bear market. But it feels to me like we've just gone through a pretty rough period, right? A year and a half or so. And there's been a lot of FUD. There's been a lot of hate. There's been a lot of gotchas. There's been a lot of kick KASPA while it's down because this is the first time that it's, technically followed the rest of the market since its inception. And it's not because KASPA was the only crypto that has been moving sideways in a somewhat downward trajectory for the last year and a half. The whole entire market's been doing that, right? Minus a few altcoins here and there that have had little runs. But the market in general has sucked over the last year and a half, unless, you're fully in Bitcoin and then you're doing okay right now. But altcoins have not been fun. And we have just, I think it feels like we might be turning a corner, okay? I'm not saying that we're completely out of this yet, but I'll say it again, the vibe seems like it's becoming a little bit more positive. And I think there's two reasons for that, at least on the forefront, right? Because I think the project in general is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to invest in. So in my mind, it's technically always positive, but I can see what's in front of me and I can see what's on social media, and I know that we're in a pretty bad period for the last year and a half or so. Just as far as sentiment and FUD and everything I just listed a couple minutes ago. Now, I think the next part of this cycle, when things start to move again, we're going to see a period of time where projects with good fundamentals and projects that have a use case, right, and a solid use case, are going to have a window where they run hard. And we know KASPA is in that box of projects, okay? Utility projects. And so I want to bring everybody's attention to a couple things that we've already went over and that you've probably heard elsewhere, but I just want to reiterate a couple of things, okay? And the first one is this whole Wall Street Bets virality that's starting to happen. And there's been two posts that I went over in Wall Street Bets Crypto and Alt Street Bets, and I've actually seen a couple of more since then. I'm not going to go over those today, but I'm just kind of reiterating the fact that, there's people out there finding out what KASPA is, and its community is getting bigger because people are reaching out through subreddits, through X, and through other alternative media, social media, and spreading, the word of KASPA out to people who didn't know about it beforehand, okay? And the other thing that we're noticing is, I'm going to bring up Vive Kalish, and I probably butchered that name, on X. He is the prominent one right now that's gaining a lot of attention as far as a Bitcoin maxi for a number of years. And it was just like less than a month ago where he was dead set in his ways, and Bitcoin was the only answer, to opening up his mind a little bit, researching KASPA just a little bit, and is now fully on board to an extent, right? He's now investing in KASPA. It's only 1% of his portfolio as of right now, but he plans to grow that over the years, okay? He wants to get to, I think he said in here, I don't have the liquidity to add more CAS, and I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin, hence the high Bitcoin holdings. As of right now, he's 1% CAS, 99% Bitcoin. In time, I'll make it closer to 80-20 or even 70-30 Bitcoin to CAS. As I study more, maybe more CAS, okay? And so I have seen, I'm not going to go through the weeds right now and find all these conversations, but over the last week or so, I have seen him having conversations with other Bitcoin maxis reaching out to him, and in curiosity of what is KASPA. And he has a nice way of not forcing it upon anyone. He's not telling anyone they need to buy it, and it's the best thing since sliced bread. He's saying, just look into it. Just study it. Do the work for yourself, and I guarantee you'll probably come out of it with some sort of positivity, right? Because Bitcoin and KASPA are the only two assets in the whole entire crypto space that are hard money. Proof of work, fully decentralized, 100% fair launched with a cap, okay? The only two projects in the space that you can consider and say with a straight face that it is hard money. And he has since started to realize that, okay? And that's all we need. And you're seeing more and more through conversations with him and in other avenues of once Bitcoin maxis who wouldn't even think about touching anything else, now at least starting to research KASPA, at least start to open up their eyes and ears just a little bit, which in my opinion is going to result long term into a community similar to Bitcoin, where Bitcoin and KASPA are the only two coins that KASPA maxis and Bitcoin maxis invest into together. At least that's what I see in the future. Now, there's always going to be maxis. There's always going to be toxic maxis. But let's hope those are far and few in between. And that most of both communities, right, once they hopefully merge to a certain extent of just being, cool with each other and understand each other's philosophies, then we'll have more positivity and we'll have some more open conversations, about the differences, about the advantages of one to the other, and so forth. That's right. That's all we need. That's all we want is positive conversations, open minds, and I think as more Bitcoin maxis, decide to open up their mind a little bit, then there will be more that decide to jump on over to KASPA as well. Even if it's a much smaller percentage, it doesn't matter. Maybe over time that percentage grows, just like VJ has mentioned here. So again, I want to ask all of you, because I have started to feel the vibe change into more positivity. I want to know if you guys, if you're on social media, if you're entrenched in the KASPA community on social media, have you started to notice the vibe change more towards the positive? We're not fully positive yet, but I think we hit a bottom and we're starting to curve up on the positivity meter, in my opinion. And it feels good because if any of you guys were here in 2022, 2023, it was positive vibe, because the price was going up for one, and it was exciting because all of us who had found KASPA that early and realized what it was, we were on cloud nine, understanding that we have probably just found that next asset in the space that is going to set itself apart from the rest of the market. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen eventually. KASPA is that investment. KASPA is that asset. KASPA is that money, okay? So be patient, understand what you hold, and continue to pack your damn bags before it's too late. I will see you in the next video. Peace out.